the house next to that, which I can't remember what color it is.
I can't use the ranch style, I think, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay, and does it include the new office park in the back?
No, it does not.
Okay, it does not include that.
If you look at your map,
Yeah.
it's strictly those lots, right?
Okay,
And one of those lots were merged, basically, but it hasn't been changed on the map. So we're still using the old maps until that's changed. So I think that lots number 12 and 13 had a lot line adjustment.
Yeah, I think they did.
okay. So that's why the other three, the four that are in blue, the other three that are white are not inclusive to that?
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
That's right. And in the committee, and the chair just happens to be here tonight, and the vice chair, I believe, recommended that we were just going to include one lot there. That was the recommendation that I went to the board with the TIF board as a result of discussions with the town council. And the committee felt that it just made sense to include such a small parcel.
Right, to incorporate that.
Yeah.
The other part of my question is, what percentage of land is required by RSA?
I think that's all referred to in your ordinance. We discussed it last time. It's 1.5% of the total acreage.
1.5% of the total acreage, okay, so we're allowed up to how much? 10%?
Well, 1.5% roughly of 9,000 acres.
1.5%, okay, and that's all inclusive to the tip downtown also? It's not a separately?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'd like to open the public hearing. Is there any comments from the public regarding this ordinance? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Counselor Jarvis?
Administrator Dixon, on the second page, subsection 273 administration, the town council shall designate a district administrator. That's you, right?
Yes.
Who shall make an annual financial report to the town council. When does that happen?
That's in July. At the
So
end of
every July we
Yep.
get one,
Yep.
okay. And then in the subsection 275, a development program and tax increment financing plan is created and it's presented to the town council. Is that the same time we get that?
Well, the conceptual plan was initiated in 1998. So basically, up until this year, we haven't had any administrative expenses. So
Okay.
there will be an amendment that will appear on that to include and incorporate the administrative expense of the new
Of what we,
coordinator.
okay,
Yes.
that makes sense. And then, all right, so that's what the conceptual plan for redevelopment, okay. Thank you.
All right. Is there a motion to pass the ordinance 2006-05 amendment to Black Bear Business Park Tax Increment Finance District?
So moved.
Motion. Motion, Counselor Glennon, second, Counselor Wolford Hammond. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Administrator Dixon, can you call the roll, please?
Counselor Jerry Hamel.
Aye.
Counselor Will Hamel.
Aye.
Counselor Glennon.
Aye?
Counselor Jarvis.
Nay.
Counselor Caprioli.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Ordinance 2006-01, amendment to highways, traffic, and parking. Okay, I have a question on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, fifth whereas. I gotta read this out loud again, because I read it out loud 3 times, and I'm like, what? Whereas, due to the businesses opening at 5 a.m. in the downtown area, the ending time was changed to 5 a.m. instead of 6 a.m. If the 6 a.m. change was left, subsections 1126B, 2-hour parking, 1126C, 15-minute parking, and 1126H, handicap zone, would have to be changed also. All of these subsections start at 5 a.m. What is that telling me? What?
I don't understand.
Basically, what they're trying, what this is doing is making it a uniform time of 5 o'clock.
Can we just say
Previously,
that?
well, probably we could, but I know it's confusing, but that really does
I know.
exemplify what's there.
Well, can we put in parentheses, this just means that everybody, it changes everything to 5 a.m.?
I think we could do that.
Or 6 a.m.?
It makes it
Whatever it is.
uniform. It makes it 5 a.m.
I'm still
5
confused.
5 a.m.
I had to read it a couple
I
times,
did
but
too.
then it made sense that some of the other ones said 5 a.m. So if we say 6, then it's
Right.
going to change all the other ones to 5.
Hmm.
From
This-
5.
But
This
if
really
it-
makes it uniform, so
Right.
the
Right.
police officers don't have to.
We knew where you were going with it, but it just the verbiage and the roundabout way of going is
You
what was
must remember,
confusing.
we are government, even though we are local, and sometimes
We're
it's
supposed
hard
to
to
make it
be.
confusing.
We do that well.
Okay, so we can do that in parentheses.
Yes, I will have
That's
that.
the only small change I would
Does
recommend.
that delay us from voting on this tonight?
No, I would not think so.
Doesn't change the
It's
meaning.
just it doesn't change the intent,
Okay.
okay?
Okay, so I gotta have a public hearing on this unless anyone else has anything they wanna see.
Well, we had
We
the
had the
public
public
hearing,
hearing.
and it was just a
Yeah.
continuation to
Right.
correct
Oh,
these
that's right.
things.
Yeah.
Okay,
And if it's.
That's why we have an ordinance form now.
Yeah,
okay.
so that's, if it's in an acceptable format now, which I hope it is, because we worked on it, and I want to say that paragraph was confusing. And we had a few little exchanges as far as staff. But I think it reflects what the council wants to do. It moves the late night hour, and it moves the early morning hour, so it's all uniform. The police officers aren't going to have to scratch their head and try to look for an ordinance. It's going to be, the hours are going to be the same.
Okay. Counselor Jarvis?
I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance number 2006-01, amendment to highways, traffic, and parking, as written with the inclusion of what Chair Caprioli said.
I'll
Is there a second?
Second it?
Okay, any further discussion? Administrator Dixon, can you call the roll, please?
Counselor Jerry Hamel.
Aye.
Counselor Will Hamel.
Aye.
Counselor Glennon.
Aye.
Counselor Jarvis.
Aye.
Counselor Caprioli.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next item, discussion on conveying pedestrian bridge from NCDC to the town of Newmarket.
This has been on your plate for some time. You authorized preparation of a deed. So I guess tonight the action you would need is to authorize the acceptance of this property and the town administrator to sign any other documents necessary to accommodate the transaction.
Now, do we have to pay $1 or anything?
No.
No? It's just to take it over? And that makes us responsible for its maintenance?
Yes.
We can do whatever we want with it, if I read this correctly.
Yeah.
We could tear it down, we could repair it, we can do,
We'd have those decisions to make if the bridge failed, yes. Doesn't lock you into maintaining a bridge forever if it's not feasible.
does this have to go to a public hearing?
No. Is there a motion to authorize the administrator to sign this and take whatever other actions are necessary to perform this task?
So moved.
Counselor Jarvis moved. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Counselor Glennon second. Any further discussion? Jerry Hamel?
Does this, I was looking at this and I'm not seeing it, but I assume with the town owning it, anybody can then use it. If you cross into was it Bryant Rock property, is there a place to go, or is,
There's easements.
Right through the parking lot, there's an easement through the
You
parking
can't
lot.
know.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Administrator Dixon, can you call the roll?
Counselor Jerry Hamel.
aye,
Counselor Will Hamel.
Aye.
Counselor Glennon.
Aye.
Counselor Jarvis.
Aye.
Counselor Caprioli.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next item on the agenda is the town administrator's report.
I'll just briefly go over a few points. 152, the sewer project we have up there. I had a couple of meetings with the Division 6 Chief Engineer, Doug DePorter. The overlay will be completed on that road with the DOT maintenance program. Also learned that day that DOT had just opened their bids for hot top maintenance program this year. Prices were up over 25%. There was also a contractor there, a pavement contractor that had lost the bid on the DOT, and he indicated that he wouldn't be surprised to see it go up at the rate of 5% a month for a while. So we're fortunate in a way because our bid that we had last year covers us till June 30th. So we will get a considerable amount of our work done at the old price. However, like DOT, they had a decision to make with their bids. They had planned so much work, they had $2 million to cover that work based on their estimates. And of course, it came in over $2.4 million, so they had to cut back. But they are going to do the overlay, so 152 will be done in a nice one, clean sweep.
I have a question on that before he goes on.
Yeah, go ahead. Is that white light was on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. At what point on 152 to what point will it end?
I believe it's going to start right at
Pumping?
Grant
Grant Road.
Okay, all the way to Lee Line.
To the
And
lead line?
maybe into Lee. I don't know. I am not concerned, but I didn't
Okay,
talk about
yeah,
beyond
all right,
Lee,
so
beyond
that's-
Newmarket. Yeah, it's an overlay program that they have scheduled.
Okay, and in regards to cost increase and jobs that we can get done under this fiscal year ending June 30th, do you have in mind what roads would be done between now and then?
Well, last year and every year, the Public Works Director provides at the beginning of July a list of roads that he wishes to complete. And Council was presented with that last July. You'll get another list this July. What will be done is the finishing of that list that he had presented last July, and beyond that, probably very little.
Okay.
At this point in time, what I do with him when he presents the paving program, I have him do not everything, but just what he feels is critical at that time, and hold off to see how the money presents itself in the May-June period of the the final closures of the fiscal year.
So given the fact that we have 6 weeks left of this fiscal year, at this point, you've had no discussion, or have you had discussions on what will be done now? I'm looking like, say, we started Elm Street with the curbing. Is that one of those that will be done prior to June 30th?
Elm Street with the curbing.
The new curbing sidewalk they put in?
Spring Street, you mean? Yes, the overlay.
Well, from-
yes, the overlay.
But I'm not talking about Spring Street. I'm talking about Elm Street all the way down
Where
towards
the
the new
telephone
village.
poles are.
Yeah.
Oh, that, Dana, I can't answer you right now. I didn't go over the specifics. He's going to continue his list. I can talk with him tomorrow at the staff meeting and represent that to you.
I would have thought that would have been included, like what's left and what we're going to try to do.
It
for
possibly
this
could
fiscal
be,
year.
but I can't tell you. It's
Okay.
been a while since I looked at that. We didn't talk specifics, just that he was going to continue and get his list done as much as possible.
Okay, thank you.
Then, again, as I reported verbally at the last meeting, the school superintendent and I have discussed trying to get a joint meeting of the boards together. Maybe it's at our July workshop, if it's convenient, and discuss issues of common concern. And one of the issues that Kathleen has put on the table with me is a budget for public broadcasting. They'd like to be able to utilize the public broadcasting system a lot more, and it boils down to money and staffing. So she wanted to know if there was something jointly that could be worked out, and I said, well, that's something we could probably discuss between the boards. That's one of the issues I know will be discussed. I have a couple issues that we'll have to report to you in non-public tonight. One of them involved a mediation session conducted the 14th of April in Portsmouth, where a lawsuit was potentially settled. Also, I would like to just take a few minutes tonight and update you on the discussions and negotiations we've had between Stratham, Newmarket, and Newfields on behalf of the Lamprey Waste Cooperative on negotiations for a contract for waste disposal, which would commence the 1st of 2007. And another non-public session to update you on negotiations on cellular communications space on our water tank with Singular Telephone Company. Now, there's a ribbon cutting ceremony on May 15th at 10 a.m. All counselors are invited to that. That's for the housing. I guess Lori Ann's told me she's not going to be able to make that. So, Jerry, if you could make a special effort to represent the town as vice chair or as chair, whatever, that day, that would be good at 10 o'clock. And you don't worry about dressing up or anything. You know, you can come just as you are. In fact, they like that. Then also, you asked me last time when we discussed this, and probably this is something that we should probably discuss in non-public too, because it involves real estate, possible disposal of our 152 Public Works lot. But I'll need some guidance from you on that. There's also a draft report from Emery and Garrett at this point on the work they've been doing. It's a draft preliminary report, a preliminary draft. There will be more to come. I believe at this point they're right on schedule, George, as far as their contract with us is concerned. That's probably the high points that I can provide for you. But the good news, you know, as far as the hot top on 152, that saves us about $24,000.
Wow.
So it's not too bad. Any questions? I'd be glad to answer.
Counselor Glennon, I believe, had one, and then Wolford.
Yeah, I have, Al, what's the difference between, on the Lamprey Co-op, between the waste management people and Best Way?
Well,
I thought we had a contract with Best Way, or is this for tipping?
we have two contracts. We have, each of the towns right now have two contracts. We have, well, maybe I should put it this way. We have one contract and we indirectly participate in another contract with Lamprey Co-op for
Okay.
tipping fees with waste management. Now, we have the curbside pickup is Best Way. That's a separate contract, and each of the towns have that right now. Newfields, Newmarket, and Stratham. That also expires January 1 of this year, or of '07.
Oh,
So we'll be dealing with that shortly. What we did is we elected to operate or dispose of our MSW locally through the Lamprey Cooperative's contract because it was much cheaper than anything we could get 3 years ago. And now their contract is up, and we're working, and they have delegated Newfields, Stratham, and Newmarket to represent the co-op to try to negotiate another contract
Okay, on
for the 9 towns, nine other towns also.
As a co-op, okay, thank you. On the rural development agencies, the amount of monies there, where is that money earmarked for, in particular in a site location in the town? I know it's monies that we want to do for that type of project, which is the improvements to the water.
Yeah.
But is that part of the downtown initiative, or where is that?
No,
for?
at this point, this involves the storage tank is the biggest expense there,
Oh, okay.
and some transmission line replacement. But the biggest expense is the storage tank.
Okay. And my
Okay.
final question is regarding the ZBA.
I'm sorry, you know, I didn't even mention that. That's quite a significant.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
okay. The ZBA, I understand it's being videotaped
Yes.
for purposes of our secretarial recording, because we don't have a secretary there. However, if the guy is down there,
One better, Mr. Glennon. I talked with Doug Poland about this,
Yeah.
and they will not only be recorded for purposes of the meeting, but they will be recorded and played, well, at a later date.
can it be broadcast live that night? I don't see-
Broadcast live that night will be difficult. Some nights they probably could because of the staffing. Again, it boils down to being able to get the
But
staff.
there's always a gentleman there who comes up and says, "Are you ready for me to start broadcasting or record?" And we say yes. So if he's down there recording it, why is we just push the button to broadcast it live and then record it at the same time?
Well, he's also doing something else at that time too. So I'll have to talk with Doug. But Doug said, "Look, we can broadcast it," and I said, "Then let's do it." So you're getting a portion
as a member
of
of the ZBA, I would encourage that we do it broadcast live if we possibly can do that.
Yeah. I think, we got the word. The staff's trying to accommodate. Doug listened to the minutes of the meeting and the video. He came to me and he says, "Well, we can play these."
Okay.
I said, "Well, then
But just-
let's do it."
Keep in mind, he's already there, so that's
Yep.
what I'm questioning.
Yep.
Thank you.
Wilford?
Al, on 152, just recently they passed a second time. This new layer's going right
Over
over
that.
everything.
Yes, going over everything.
Terrific.
Yeah. And before it's done, there will be another shim coat over most of it. Okay, so the final coat should be very smooth.
Good.
And we've had the winter to settle out, so hopefully.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item is discussion on outside watering. And this has come up recently. There's been a couple of people that have called the administration office that want to put in a lawn and do it efficiently, not from seed, but hydro seeding, and wondered if they could water it, because it requires, it's recommended that it gets watered twice a day for 30 minutes for the first 14 days until it establishes roots. And currently, we're in a fairly decent situation with water, very good situation with water.
Currently, and I don't want to take words out of our director's mouth at this point, but I think currently our wells are in good shape. And obviously, as long as we get a reasonable amount of precipitation, we're okay. I would like to indicate that prior to us going on the Stage 4 outside water ban, of course, it was one of the worst drought periods that we'd gone through in 20 years, over an extended period of time. And we had outside watering going on at that time. We also allowed people to fill their pools. I believe the daily averages in the summer months jumped to 550 to 600,000 gallons on a, yeah. So let's say 650 to use the range, say 600 to 650 in the summer when we, during that drought period, and our wells didn't fail us at that point. I think it's prudent that we've had the outside water ban, there's no question, because what that has done, that has dropped the average to, well, let's see, I'm looking at a 12-month average here, because I asked George to provide the most recent 12 months, and I have it here, and I guess I have enough copies for everyone. So I'll just hand that around, and you'll see that in 2005, we had consumption down to as little as 411,000 gallons on a daily basis in March, to as high as 468,000 in August. Probably there was some illegal use of outside watering at that point in August, that we could have clamped down on, but nonetheless, it's certainly down as a result of our water ban, at least 100,000 on a conservative basis, maybe 150,000 gallons, okay? These people have been calling and they really want to have nice lawns. They don't want to put a big expense in the hydro seeding and not be able to get it established. So I asked George, and George says, I don't want to sit here and say I recommend it. And I said, well, no, but if the council was to consider something, what would be prudent? So I asked him to develop this, and he talked to and went on websites to hydro seeders, and it looks like they would need somewhere between 2 weeks to 2.5 weeks, say 15 to 20 days of watering to establish the lawn. We could do that, I guess, with a temporary waiver. If the people call in, we give them a waiver. We let it be known to the police department and everything that these people have waivers for this specific window of time to allow them to not have their expenditure wasted that they expended on hydro seeding. That's if the council desires, okay? I have a couple of them are elderly people that are expending the money or want to expend the money on the hydro seeding, and they certainly don't want to expend the money and not have it come up, you know? So that's the question to you. Do you want to make a temporary waiver? These people call in, they are logged in with the town, we monitor it, and allow them to legally water their lawns for a period of 20 days to get them established if they're hydro-seeding a new lawn. We do have a few people, I think you probably all have seen it, that haven't taken the time to call us. They're just doing it, okay? And this way, we have a number of people that just don't want to do that. They don't want to. If it's not to be done, they don't want to do it. So they're looking for a legal way to be able to establish their lawn.
Excuse me?
Allow the public to speak on this, or is this just a discussion?
It's just a discussion, but what did you want to comment?
Well,
Up to the podium.
Doreen Howard, 149 Exeter Road. Even though I have taken all the water from 108, my property perks really, really well. So it dries out an awful lot. If you've gone by my house, you know that I have all kinds of problems with grubs because of drying out and you can't water. Now, I'm out there trying to seed by hand and going by the rules, so I kind of resent that somebody who says, well, I'll spend the money on hydro seeding, gets to use water, and I can't. I haven't been able to wash the outside of my house underneath my porch for a year and a half. I'm following the rules. So I just think to give somebody a waiver because they have decided to go the expensive route is unfair.
Did you ask if you could do that and explain the problem to the council? Because we have made exceptions in the past.
No, I haven't. I've just been going by the rules, and I just think that if you're going to allow somebody who's hydro seeding to use their water for 2 weeks, that you ought to allow somebody that goes out and has to fix. I have probably half an acre of various spots that I have to fix, you know, and I'm just trying to do it in between rainstorms, which means it probably won't happen well. And it's just a vicious cycle because you can't put down fertilizer if it doesn't rain, and then you don't have roots, and then it perks, and it's just a dust bowl. So I guess I'm objecting is, you know, what's fair for one is fair for all. So whatever you decide, I think just has to go for everybody.
Thank you. Councilor Glennon?
I wouldn't necessarily have a problem with this, but I understand where Ms. Howard's coming from, because that's what I had spoken to Mr. Dixon about when he first mentioned it to me. I wouldn't have a problem, I guess, if we can drop the water ban from a level 4 to a level 3, so people can do some watering outside. And one of the things I'd like to know what the difference is between those who want to spend hundreds of dollars, maybe thousands of dollars for hydro seeding, and what about the people who want to go and beautify their lawns by putting in shrubs, putting in flowers, plants, and they can't water that? I'm concerned that we're discriminating. If you have the money to do it, then you'll get the water. If you don't have it and you can't hydro seed, you don't get that privilege. So I want to be very careful how we go about this. And again, if we go from a water level 4 to a water level 3, and I don't know whether Mr. Laney can address that, is our situation with the wells, is that improved? Can we do that for a period of time to drop from a 4 to a 3?
I'm just going to go from recollection because I haven't looked at the ordinance today, but I believe level 3 is odd or even street numbers can water Mondays and Wednesdays,
I think so, yeah.
and the others can water Tuesdays and Thursdays with no outside water use on the weekends.
And can I just say, that means not washing cars, that's strictly watering your lawns, is that correct?
No,
I
I
just
don't.
don't
water
think so. I
use.
think it's just,
Water use.
it's
I
just
think.
water use. Right now, our wells are in excellent shape, and they're running about 15 to 16 hours a day. The water level, static water level at Bennett is at 19.7 feet, and it's 25.8 feet at Sewell. So they are in good shape right now.
So I would say, with that statement you just made, if we're going to allow these people who have hydroseeding to do that, then they could plan on doing it on the odd and even days the way it's set up on the level 3. And that way we wouldn't be giving any special permits to anybody, but everybody who wanted to do that and maintain their flower beds and their property values and so on and so forth could do that. Does that sound right, Ms. Howard? Yeah, okay.
Could I just say, if you do decide to go to level 3, we'll just have to monitor it very closely.
Right.
And monitor the rainfall.
Yep.
You know, if we have a summer like we had last year, we'd be in pretty good shape. But if we have a summer like it started out earlier this year, and we just got the rain the last 2 days, so.
Right. And again, that's a good point. I like your suggestion on that, which would also apply to those who are gonna do hydroseeding also. I mean, let's not discriminate. That's my only concern. Thank you.
Counselor Jarvis.
George, do you mind staying up there? Sorry. Were the wells in good shape 2 days ago, before all this rain?
Yes, they were.
Okay, because if memory serves, when the gentleman was here talking about the mosquitoes, he said this was the driest season in over something like 50 years or 100 years or something.
Well,
I mean, I don't have any facts on that, but
our water levels today are in excellent shape, and they're probably as high as they've been all winter.
okay.
So, I mean, they haven't changed that much, but if we do a lot of watering and the flow, say the water usage goes up 150,000 a day, that can drop the aquifer fairly quickly. So we have to monitor that closely.
Okay. I agree that I don't think that the waivers would be discriminating for people that were going to do a certain thing with their outside water use, and I don't think that we can do that. But I'm ready to make a motion. I don't know if you have more discussion.
Yeah, Wilfred Hamel, then myself, then Administrator Dix.
One for Dana and then George. It sure seems like discrimination, but I'm looking at hydroseeding as a prevention from a new home losing their lawn, like if they have everything all, I don't think they have a choice. They've got to get grass growing, or they'll lose all the loam that they put on there, so I don't know what the,
He raises
what
a
the
good point.
situation
You
is
raise a
there.
good point. I'm wondering now, you just added a word that I did not hear before, new homes.
yeah.
Are we talking new homes, or are we
Well, I guess
talking
Any,
homes, any home?
Well,
Yep, don't want to lose track.
Okay.
I'm next.
okay, I'll speak and rest my case. Yeah, it wasn't a point that I'm proposing anything to discriminate. The point of bringing this before you is I'm getting a number of calls, and I can't legally, with the number of calls I'm getting, say, yeah, go ahead, ignore it, do it. I said, I'm getting enough calls, I got to bring this to the council level to discuss it. Answer to that question, some of these people have lawns that they lost are just totally been decimated this past winter with grubs and things. And they are new homes, but they got to reestablish them, okay? And one of them, let's say Dory Nelson, had work, there was work done out in front of her house, so it's a new lawn, but it's an old house, okay? So you got a combination. You got a combination of new homes being built. You got a combination of homes that are not that old, but their lawns got decimated for one reason or another this past winter, and they've got to reestablish them. I visited one of the places up in Lady Slipper. Boy, that lawn, it's a new home, probably 3 years, 4 years old. The lawn is gone. It's just dirt. And so she said, that's when I decided after 5 or 6 calls and going out visiting that the magnitude was such that I had to have you guys make a policy decision.
And I think I agree with everything that's been said tonight, but I think, and I have friends in the landscaping business, so I understand, and God knows I've worked on my lawn enough. But you kind of lose a window of opportunity for a short period of time after June 15th, and they don't hydro seed, or unless they have to, because it's a new construction home. And it's not all that successful, again, till September. So maybe if we dropped it to a level 3 till June 15, that gives plenty of people opportunity to do that. We're not doing it forever.
Right.
And maybe we should, I don't know if June 15th,
That was
June
gonna be my
15th or
motion for
18th.
June 30th.
June 30th.
And that would give anybody time to do whatever kind of landscaping they wanted to do before the summer started. Whether it was grass or perennials or shrubs, they had until June 30th to get it in the ground and get it established by watering it every other day from the water ban. And then at June 30th, we meet again to discuss whether we want to continue keeping it on stage 3 or 4.
Right, because
But,
get a lot of rain.
but George would have obviously the authority, and would be looking at it, if he noticed that it went down considerably, that he would tell us that there was an alert, and we could immediately take it back to 4, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Right, so,
And
I think
maybe,
that's a-
and maybe in the fall, for people who missed that window or didn't have
Right.
time or their house wasn't
can
ready, you could
readjust
do,
it.
you could do the same thing again.
I think that's a great compromise. Very good.
Yeah, I do too, as administrator. And obviously, you see, you got the last 12-month history here, and we can have the first 6 months of this year, the history presented at that time.
Why is
So
it so
tell
high
us.
in February? And it will.
we had a warm February. Snow melting.
Wilfred?
No, I'm not done.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, back to those dates, as long as the public gets to know the word gets out on these dates, would be good.
How do we do
I had a couple of questions for George. Your communications with these hydro seeders, do they tell you where they're getting the water, or do you have an idea where they're getting the water?
No, I don't. I'm assuming they're not getting it in Newmarket from the rivers because they're all posted. I did see a truck in Lee one day last week,
2 of them, yeah,
but I don't know where they get the water.
yeah. There's no place that you would know right now, because when the pumping station was running and these signs were set out, Clay Mitchell and myself and other members of the Conservation Commission was thinking of putting a valve on the pumping station with a check valve, so that to prevent contamination and stuff like that. But the pumping station ain't running, so do you have any idea? When I'm asked, I just shrug my shoulders, telling them.
I know I had my lawn done last year from a company in Stratham, and they brought everything all pre-mixed with them. Is it L.A. Hanna that I called? L.A. Hanna in Exeter sells water, and they said they sell water all the time to hydroseeders.
Oh,
And there's probably other places out there that do that.
yeah. But these people that were taking it out of the lamprey are probably gonna be prevented before long, because Lee and Durham are probably gonna get together on what we did.
Yeah.
So, thank you, George.
Administrator Dixon?
Yeah, just a response to that, Counselor Hamel. I was up on 152 one morning with John Prohopak, and we observed as we were there, a hydro seeder come and drop his pump down over the bank and was going to pump out of the Piscassic. And and John and I went down and talked with him, and he pulled out. And I don't know where he got his water, but he didn't get it there. So that was probably a week ago. So.
I just got one other thing. It was Buxton that sells the water, not Hanna.
Buxton, yeah, I
And
thought so.
I asked them if they could provide water for people that wanted to water their lawn, and they said they couldn't because they'd just blow the lawn off. They don't have low pressure.
They do more pools.
Yeah.
Counselor Glenn, do you have a
Yeah,
question?
I just have a quick question for Mr. Laney. It's unrelated, but it is related. What is a dry hydrant?
A dry hydrant is just a piece of pipe that goes down and into a pond.
Down below?
They-
You see them along.
You see them along the way.
Well, I saw one on Grant Road. I keep on seeing it when I go by every day. Just past, I don't know.
It's a place where the fire department can attach their hose and suck water out.
It's not
This-
charged.
It's just a
Have it.
piece of pipe.
Oh, so that's next to
Not
the
under
old...
pressure, it's suction.
Okay, suction,
They have to,
okay.
they have to pressure the water in there.
They blow it out first and then they suck it in.
Thank you.
Okay, Counselor Jarvis?
I'd like to make a motion to drop the water ban to a level 3, active immediately until June 30th of 2006, at which time the town council will reconsider what level the water ban should remain at. The town council has the right at any time to rescind this motion if the water level drops below a desired level.
I'll second that.
Did you get all that, Lee? Because we wrote it down if you want it.
If you have it, that's
We'll
good.
pass it down.
Thank you.
Any further discussion?
Mr.
Okay.
Hamel, Mr. Hamel.
Wilfred?
I got one for Al. Can you tell me why, like this person that you spotted on 152, sucking water out of the Piscassic right underneath the sign that says no water withdrawal, why this person isn't fined?
Well, first of all, he hadn't started sucking it out. Second of all, he was on the other side of the street, so he didn't see the sign. We had him walk over and read it. He walked over and read it, and then he came back and picked up his pump and hose and apologized.
You should
And
put one on both sides, one in the water, and hand them out to all these people.
yeah,
Put a barge.
What
Can't
we're
we
con-
stamp it on the road?
Right on
Do
their
not
forehead.
suck the water out of our river.
What we're concerned about is contaminating one
Area.
kind of something you don't want into another. Next time he sucks water out someplace, he could have been carrying some purple loosestrife
Yep.
or something on the end of his hose. We don't know.
I mentioned that just so you know, some members of the highway crew and whatnot are obviously looking at those kinds of things, and so we just saw him step out, put his pump down, and we talked to him.
Thank you.
Can I ask a quick?
Yeah.
Sorry. How do we let people know that we're at a stage 3 until June 30th? Does that mean the signs will change, or?
Signs will change at either end of the town tomorrow morning, first thing tomorrow morning.
Okay. Super, great.
Yep, and we'll have a staff meeting at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, and if not before that,
Break out the hose.
if not before that, it'll be on the website and on TV.
Is there a water bill going out?
Not right now, I don't think. Oh.
Is that, that's done quarterly, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, but, no, I think we just missed it, Dana. What we can also do is we'll call the press, and, I don't see any here tonight, do we? We'll call the press and try to make sure that they do a little story on it.
Okay,
Great.
thank you.
Okay. Town council to consider old business?
Yes, I have something. Oh, do I
ahead.
have to push that?
Council, yes, you do.
Okay, thank you.
Do you need to vote on that?
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
we need to vote.
on that.
Very good.
Thank you.
Town administrator, can you call the roll?
Counselor Jerry Hamel?
Aye.
Counselor Will Hamel?
Aye.
Counselor Glennon?
Aye.
Counselor Jarvis?
Aye.
Counselor Caprioli?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Doreen.
Did you announce
Thank you, Dory.
Well, I told her he's excused. Oh. Dana, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Okay. Mr. Dixon, please don't take this the wrong way, but I know how you love to quote the charter,
Okay,
so I have one for you.
okay.
On page, let me see here, page 6 of the charter, section 4.60, powers and duties of town administrator.
Mm-hmm.
I believe, and I could be wrong, but I believe the last time I received a financial report was back in February. And I have not received one since, and it's been about 2-3 months.
It's in your box.
It's in your box.
In there tonight.
March
Yeah.
is in there, yeah.
Thank you very much. But the question still remains, why are we not getting them on a monthly basis?
Well, sometimes there are some difficulties, and in this past session, our finance director took a vacation for 2 weeks, so she's got catch-up she had to do.
Perhaps in your report, you might want to indicate that the report would be late, so it doesn't look like you're not complying.
Okay?
And I don't think that's the reason why you're doing it, but I don't want that perception to be out there.
Okay.
Counselor Jarvis?
Since we're talking about the finance director, are we talking about finding a replacement, or?
Yes, I'm going to start the discussions on that in the July period.
When did she say she'd be here till?
She'll be here until November, in the November-December period.
November, December, okay.
And on that note, are we putting ad out for a planner? Or are we using Stratford, or what is it?
No, we've got an ad out for a planner, and in the interim, we may have to use Stratford or make arrangements. Maybe Clay would cover some of the meetings still.
Okay.
Okay. But we have advertised. We got it
Okay.
out.
Any other old business?
No.
New business. Dana, I know you wanted to ask a question about school earlier.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Yep.
Al, is it possible, I just heard this today, is it possible with the new school that they want to put in, regardless to where it's going to go, okay, is there a possibility of setting up a TIF specifically for?
For the school?
Yeah. In other words, I heard Stratham did a sort of TIF, and they have housing in there, and the tax value of those houses were going to offset the bond for the school through the TIF process.
I didn't realize that that Stratham had set up a TIF, but I'll check.
Can you
tomorrow.
check that?
I'll
Because,
check that
man, what
tomorrow.
a great opportunity that would be if we could set something like that up.
Yeah, it would be if you were going to mix in the same area some sort of development.
Right. Elderly housing, something like that,
Anything,
upscale housing, any type of thing
Yep.
to go into that whole mix, yeah.
Yep.
Can you, at some point, report that back to us? I know you're going to be
Yes.
gone for a
Oh,
while,
yes,
so.
I will.
Okay.
I'll report that back to you at the June business meeting,
Thank you.
not before. I'll report before on that, okay?
Okay, yeah.
I'll get a memo in your boxes, and we can discuss it at the June business meeting.
I'm asking you because you have such a great deal of knowledge of TIF versus, I'm not sure where the school part is.
I'm not
how they
aware,
know it
I'm
about TIF.
honestly not aware of Stratham using a TIF,
Yeah.
or even Exeter,
Yeah.
so.
And again, I mean, it was just brought to me today, and I haven't had a chance to call them and say, hey, how are you doing this? I
Even if
just-
they haven't, it's not a bad idea.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Anybody else? Wilfred Hamel?
Yeah, I just been wondering, on open forum, when someone comes before us and they have a question, we answer it and they're satisfied and they go home. How about when they have 2 or 3 questions and, or complaints, they let us know, who gets in contact with them? Kind of a simple question, but I just started wondering. These people go home and say, well, it's the end of that.
Well, for the most part, I think we try to answer what we can here, and then the administrator gets the answers to them. If there's something we missed or forgot about, please tell us so that we can address it.
Yeah, because I've seen 2 or 3 questions or complaints, whatever, and then the person leaves, and I don't, I'm wondering if Al gets in touch with them.
You're talking
I
about
just never thought
mosquitoes?
of it.
That's gonna go before the voters, and I just thought Herb probably already knew that, because Herb and I had this conversation. I said, well, it's gonna be a voter's decision. I appreciate his input, but,
Oh, him, oh, Herb,
Yeah.
Well, anyone.
yeah. That's why I didn't address that.
I have thought about that myself, but I didn't know how to word it, so.
So do you take note of that, Al, and you try to get back to him, or does that happen?
Yep, I will.
Thank you.
And I don't think Herb was expecting a reply. I think he was
No.
just making a statement.
Yeah.
I have one thing on the new business, I guess I just thought of, if I
Yep.
could. I think, I'm not sure if the public is aware of this, but behind Joyce's Kitchen, there's that new park that's there now, and it's done, it's beautiful. I want to thank both the administrator, Clay Mitchell, Julie Glover, and the people who did that work, and I would ask the public, please, in addition to that part, to Shanda Park, to please respect it. I was down there Sunday and found out the dogs have already dug into the new park, cigarette butts are already there, dog feces are already there, and they're trampling through the flowers, which just tells me that is totally disrespectful for all the work and all the energy. A lot of people have worked very hard in that area, both Chandler Park and that particular area to improve the area of Newmarket in the downtown area, and to please respect that. Thank you.
Counselor Jarvis?
What are the pink flags for down there?
The pink flags are for additional planting. We're waiting for those plants to come in, and that's the location to where they would go.
Okay.
Annuals or something?
They're all perennials, I believe. We're not putting any annuals in there. And
It
again,
does
that-
look really nice down there.
Thank you. They did a great job down there. And I think we're looking at the granite side, Al, is that correct? The granite side facing Joyce's Kitchen will probably have another fence put there to prevent people from walking over that. That was under, I believe it was a recommendation I had made to Julie Glover, and Russell Servity has looked into it, and we're probably going to get another fence. Which raises the question to me now that I have for you. On the site plan review, which I've asked Julie as chair of the Riverwalk Committee to go back and look at the site plan review approval process for the planning board, and it does state that that area from the curbing over to a certain point is supposed to be striped out with no parking. Because I've noticed Sunday cars are parked, here's the granite, and their cars are parked over the granite and onto the flower base. In addition to that, the width between Joyce's Kitchen and where the car will park, there's a very narrow space in there.
Has he started construction down there?
No,
It
no.
would start, it's part of his site plan. Riverwalk didn't have a site plan, you know what I mean? So when
No,
he
he
does
has
his.
control of all that. That's all his. He gave an easement, and he
Yeah, but wouldn't he
agreed.
do that when
Well,
he,
he didn't give an easement beyond the easement of our construction.
that would start?
That all could expire if he didn't
Right.
start in a certain time.
Yeah, it may
So,
not even be valid anymore, because that was a couple years ago.
ours with his
I guess what we
construction.
need to do is go back and look and see is that condition of approval is based on when he starts construction or on the site plan review that he's already got approval for.
Well, there's two things, Dana, that you gotta look at, and this is the first one. I mean, you definitely should look into it, and that should stick, but if he hasn't started anything, and what is it, the first year, he's no longer vested, that site plan's done and gone.
Right, yeah.
It's all done. You guys can start from scratch.
He must have
Or
a
he,
year.
he would have to start from, no, it was well over a year ago that he got an
Well over a
approval.
year ago, I think.
And he hasn't done anything, so
For the
that's,
yellow building? Is that what?
for Joyce's Kitchen.
Joyce's
Right, to
Kitchen.
take it down and put up when
Yep.
it came before the planning board.
Okay,
I don't
so
know if
that
was
means
over a year ago, because I remember seeing
that
it.
parking would be null and void for striping in that area.
He did do an investment in a water main, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Which could
Might-
be enough to take care of that first year. But any of those conditions don't apply until the project is done anyways.
Right.
He would have to do his whole.
When he's doing it, in other words.
Yeah,
Not when
and
it's completed. but when he's doing-
occupancy would, when he went for an occupancy permit for a completed
That's when
building,
that-
then they'd go through all the conditions and make sure everything was met.
I'll talk with Clay, have him explain to me. 'Cause
He
I'm-
did invest in that water, so that may have been enough to vest him that first year.
Yep.
But then he has to have substantial.
Would he
construction
also be
before-
invested
Excuse me.
for, oh, I'm sorry.
That, you're just like Anthony answers my I try to answer one question, he's asking another
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
It's like, listen to the first answer.
Well, now you know how it is to be cut off.
Substantial construction, would have to start within the next 4 years
4 years?
from
There-
his
there's a
approval.
1
If he was
year and a
vested.
4 year.
Yeah.
Vesting.
So the work he did on the flower bed would also be counted as part of the process?
was part of the site
He didn't
plan.
do any work on the flower bed part of his project. You see, the Riverwalk is a separate project.
Okay,
He was required to do the seawall.
okay, and he did that. Okay, all right,
That's not part of his project, so to speak.
thank you.
Okay. We need a motion to go into non-public, RSA 91A-32, is that real estate?
Yeah, real estate, and also I'd like to
Oh,
have one
personnel,
for
too.
personnel. Yep.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
I gotta run and get a file.
Call the
real
roll
quick.
real quick.
Oh, yes. Counselor Jerry Hamel?
Aye.
Counselor Will Hamel?
Aye.
Counselor Glennon?
Aye.
Counselor Jarvis?
Aye.
Counselor Capriola?
Aye.
We are now in non-public.
And it's 8:15.
Will had a good suggestion, to put razor sharp wire down there to stop them from going into the flower.
I gotta go down and see it, I haven't been down.